Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are delegation from SMAN 1 Jereweh, and we are as the proposition of these things already structures our cases. First, before we go to the motion, let me introduce myself first. My name is Lomba, and I'm going to be the first speaker of these affirmative things, and I'm going to explain the obstacles that students have while doing this online learning. And we go to the motions. Motion that we have today is that we believe learning from home is not appropriate for students in Indonesia at this time. Before we go to the limitation of the motions, I'm going to explain the specific term of the motion first. So there is like a learning home and not appropriate. First, learning home. Learning home is basically an activity that has been given to students outside of school days with a flexible model or flexible systems. And not appropriate means not suitable or not proper. So now we're going to the limitation. The limitation that we have today is we believe that learning from home virtually is not appropriate for students in Indonesia at this time. Keep in mind that we emphasize the word virtually, which means it's screen by screens, using internet connections and technologies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I already explained the motions. Now we go to the main arguments. So, as we know, we are nowadays living in a pandemic situation of COVID-19 and coronavirus. So the government and educational institute around the world has been closed, the schools around the world. Especially in Indonesia, the school has been closed. So, in Indonesia, the government set up the probability that the school will be open in the end of the year because the coronavirus is not going down yet. So, actually we don't have any problem with this online learning, but we do have some concern. There's three concerns that we have today, ladies and gentlemen. The first concern is about internet connections. So, not all parts of Indonesia have internet connections. And even if they do, some of them are pretty much lagging and unstable. And it's pretty hard because if you don't have any internet connection, then you cannot do this proper online learning. So this internet connection is very indeed needed. And now we go to our second point. Our second point is the amount of money or budget that has been spent to buy the internet quota data. So in Indonesia, most of Indonesians are basically poor. They are living in poverty, they are jobless and homeless. No job means no salary, means no money. So it's pretty unfair for the Indonesian people that are living in poverty if the government told them to do what they have to do is by buying internet quota data to open this WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever application that you use to do this online learning. And now we go into our third point. The third point I'm going to explain today is about the lack of facilities that Indonesia have. As I said before on my second point, Indonesia is basically living in poverty, which means to get this or to acquire these kind of facilities is pretty hard. And even if you got those facilities, like the good quality facilities, it's very expensive, and sometimes if you got it by cheap price, it's on low quality and you cannot do this proper online learning properly. So yeah, I guess that's the only point that I can give. I'm sorry if there is a problem in my speech or arguments. That's why we believe that learning from home is not proper or not appropriate for students in Indonesia. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I, as the second speaker from the affirmative team, my name is Lydia Rosalina. Let me come to my first argument. As the first speaker mentioned that the limitation of our motion was learning from home virtually, I just want you to remember that. So, as the first speaker stated that there are three reasons why this kind of learning from home is not appropriate at this time. I will try to give you the authentic data and provide you with the strongest evidence to strengthen my argument. Ladies and gentlemen, first reason was the internet connection issue. You know that not all parts of Indonesia have internet connection. I took the search from businesstempo.com. It says that 12,548 countries with no connection there. For example, in an isolated area like Sumatra, or you might open the link that I have just told you. So the first reason is clear. Second reason was spending an extra budget for the quota. In fact, you can find many examples for this in real life. Just think of the people who live in poverty in the isolated area, even in the city. There are lots of people who don't have monthly income or salary, but they have to send their kids to school even to follow the virtual classes. There are lots of things to be a burden. They also need to fit their needs every day, similar to us. The rich can follow a panic situation get between the rich and the poor people. The rich can follow the classes easily because they have enough money for buying anything related to learning home process. The lower classes will continue their hard work to survive. So it's clear anyway. Thirdly, last but not least, is about technology and the facility regarding the home learning process. The laptops, gadgets, and also smartphones are needed. Poverty is an uncomfortable word. So, what should the government expect from kids from low-income households? Typically, teachers are an element of what to do definitely. Let me show you the data. In one study of 81,000 students across Indonesia are struggling with their studies. The data is taken from publication educationalleadership.com. So, what comes to my mind is that should children from poverty be most likely to struggle with engagement in school? Dear educators and audiences, I will try to prove you or give you the example of their experience of Nolin and adult in Central Sulawesi, that they are both of borrowing the neighbor's mobile phone to get into the Google Classroom and finish their tasks. The story is taken from the Suara.com. Please check to make sure of it. I'm pleased you guys to open. Thank you. Online classes don't seem to be going well for anyone, especially when we are talking about the poor people who have to fulfill their education needs. Many schools in the city and in the country have started conducting classes online, but there have been some bad experience for all those involved, which is the poor student. So for me, and especially my team, as the affirmative team, totally agree with the motion that this house believes that learning from home is not appropriate at this time for Indonesia. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Audi Devi and I am the third speaker of the affirmative team, and I would like to sum up our team case today. So, since the COVID-19 outbreak, online learning has been a part of education system in Indonesia, where students can continue their study at home through online learning, video calling, as well as national TV programs. And this new way of learning will not be a problem for those who live in an area where everything is easily accessible. It has, however, posed challenges for those who live in an area with no mobile phone internet, as many as Indonesians rely on mobile internet. So, as we have seen that negativity of the learning from home cases, it can conclude that learning from home is not appropriate for Indonesian students. So that's all for me. Because of this kind of things, we have to support this motion. We totally agree that learning from home is not appropriate for Indonesian this time. Thank you.